All right, let's get into it. Today, we're cracking open Steven Bartlett's The Diary of a CEO and pulling out some of his most surprising and honestly counterintuitive laws for success. So you can forget your typical business advice. This is a playbook that's designed to flip what you think you know on its head.
Just let that sink in for a minute. We're all taught to fight our corner, right? To prove our point and win the debate. But what if that's completely backwards? What if the real masters of persuasion have a secret weapon we've been overlooking? This is exactly the kind of stuff we're digging into.
So Bartlett's taken everything he's learned, from building massive companies to interviewing the world's most brilliant minds, and boiled it all down into a set of fundamental laws. And this isn't about trendy business strategies that change every 5 minutes. No, this is about the deep psychology of what it takes to be great.
So let's jump right into that first big, provocative idea. Law number 3, you must never disagree. I know, it sounds totally impossible, doesn't it? But the science behind it is just fascinating, and it could completely change how you handle every single conflict, from a high-stakes meeting to a simple chat with a friend.
This is such a crucial shift in perspective. Most of us, we get stuck in unhealthy conflict. It becomes me versus you, where the only goal is to come out on top. But healthy conflict, that's totally different. It reframes the whole thing. It's now us versus the problem. You suddenly realize you're on the same team, just looking at the issue from different angles. And this quote just nails it. The second you say the words, "I disagree," bam, you've just built a wall. The other person instantly gets defensive. The real mission here isn't to prove they're wrong, it's to understand where they're coming from, so you can build that bridge to a solution you both agree on.
And look, this isn't just some feel-good idea. It's hardwired into our brains. Neuroscientist Tali Sharot did these studies and found that when someone hears a direct disagreement, their brain literally starts to shut down. They stop taking in new information. So if you actually want someone to listen to you, you have to start on common ground. Find anything at all you can agree on. That's what keeps their mind open.
Okay, so that leads us into an even more mind-bending concept. Law number 4, you do not get to choose what you believe. Whoa. I mean, that one really challenges our whole sense of free will and who's in control, doesn't it?
Seriously, put yourself in that situation. You could absolutely say the words. You could pretend. But could you, deep down in your soul, actually force yourself to believe it? Even with everything on the line?
Well, Bartlett actually asked thousands of people this exact question, and 98% of them said no, they couldn't do it. And that proves something really profound. Belief isn't a light switch you can just flick on and off. It's not a choice.
So, if we don't choose our beliefs, how on earth do they ever change? Well, it all comes down to these 4 things, which act like a set of scales in our mind. On one side, you've got your current evidence and how much you trust it. And on the other, you have any new evidence and how much you trust that. A belief only shifts when that new evidence is so compelling that it tips the scales. So the big lesson here is you can't argue someone out of a belief they didn't get from an argument in the first place. You have to stop attacking their old ideas. Instead, you need to help them find new, first-hand evidence for themselves. You have to create an experience that gives them a new reason to believe.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit, from the really deep psychological stuff to something super practical. This next law is an absolute game changer for mastering any skill or any subject you could possibly want to learn.
I love this quote because it just perfectly captures law number 2. See, reading is passive. Writing forces you to actually get it. But teaching? That's the ultimate test. It forces you to boil a huge, complex idea down to its simplest, purest form. And that, right there, is the fast track to real mastery.
And hey, this isn't some brand new idea. It's a famous mental model from the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman. The guy was a certified genius, not just because of what he knew, but because he could make the most complicated ideas in physics sound incredibly simple. That's the true sign you've mastered something.
So Bartlett takes this classic technique and gives it a modern upgrade. It's not enough to just pretend you're teaching a kid. You've got to share it publicly. Write a blog post, make a video, share it on social media. Why? Because that creates a kind of social contract. It makes you accountable. And the feedback you get is what puts your learning curve into hyperdrive.
And for our last law today, let's talk about something really fun. This is all about how to make your message, your brand, or even just your own personal story completely unforgettable. It's about tapping into the power of the absurd.
This is how much Steven Bartlett spent on a giant blue slide inside his first office. He was a broke 20-year-old CEO at the time. I mean, it sounds like the absolute dumbest financial decision you could possibly make, right? More money than he'd ever seen in his life, and he spends it on a toy before he even has desks for his employees.
But then, this happened. That useless slide became their single greatest marketing tool. Every single journalist, every TV crew, every article written about them mentioned the slide. It just screamed, we're young, we're different, we're disruptive, way louder than any expensive ad campaign ever could. It literally did all their selling for them.
And this is the heart of it, right here. Nobody talks about the sensible, practical stuff. People talk about the crazy, memorable, absurd things. That one absurd detail can tell the entire story of who you are and what you're all about.
And once you see it everywhere with the coolest brands. Tesla's ridiculous, ludicrous mode and fart mode get way more press than any competitor's boring features. BrewDog, putting beer fridges inside their hotel showers, is totally impractical, but it perfectly communicates their punk, beer-loving vibe. It's the useless stuff that does all the heavy lift.
So what's the thread that connects all these ideas? From never disagreeing, to mastering things by teaching, to embracing absurdity. It's this realization that the path to real greatness means you often have to throw out the common sense playbook. It means following a set of deeper, weirder, more unconventional principles.
So think about it. Whether it's how you go into your next disagreement, how you learn that new skill you've been putting off, or how you tell your own story, which one of these laws are you going to put into practice? I'll give you a hint. The one that feels the most uncomfortable is probably where the biggest growth is waiting for you.